Hello, everyone. My name is Caleb, and the title of my project or presentation is The Effects of Social Media on Your Mental Health. So first, let me give a little bit of background. For a long time, we didn't have to deal with many distractions like Instagram or Facebook, and to a degree, life was a lot simpler and less distractions. But then in the early 2000s, everything changed with the introduction of Facebook, and then shortly after that, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, and so on. But the real game changer came in 2007 whenever the iPhone was introduced. And now, with just the click of a button, we have access to so many different social media platforms and different ways to get distracted. Um, Now, obviously, not all social media is bad. It can be useful for social interactions or some level of information. But I think we can all agree that generally too much social media can be detrimental to our mental health. So this leads to my question for all of you. Is social media bad for your health? And then also, even beyond that, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but is social media necessarily bad for businesses? Like, why does too much social media impact a business? So that is what my report answers. So a brief overview of my problem statement. Basically, as social media was created and has increased over the last 25 years, so have mental health issues such as distraction and depression. And so this project shows the decrease in mental health based on the amount of social media hours per day. So if we look at the data set that I have here, this is based on a survey of around 500 people. And so they asked them various social media or mental health questions, such as frequency of depression or distraction or restlessness level, and asked them to rate it on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being low and 5 being high. And then also asked them how many hours on average they spent on social media per day. So this could be below an hour, 1 to 2 hours, and so on. So for my KPIs, I have 5 main ones plus the number of people: depression frequency, distractibility rating index, validation seeking score, focus retention score, and sleep issues frequency. And so these are all based on the data set, but they're converted to percentages instead of just scale of 1 to 5. So then moving on to the report itself, we can see on the left-hand side are all of my KPIs and with the corresponding percentages, and each percentage is a certain color. So for frequency is navy blue. And so this corresponds to the navy blue line in all of my charts so that we can see how the depression frequency changes based on whatever graph you click. And so, for example, we can see how Gen Z affects all of our scores here. Now, green indicates a lower or good level of mental health. Yellow represents kind of a mid-range, and then red is higher. And so we can filter it by age, by generation, by occupation and relationship, by gender, and just see how that affects all of the mental health. And so the main thing, though, that I want to show is how social media time affects all of the mental health percentages. So, for example, we'll start with the higher levels or averages. So it'd be between 4 and 5 hours, and then more than 5 hours. And so now if we look at the KPIs, we see that all of them are much higher than the average, and all of them except for validation seeking score are indicated as red or bad. If we deselect these, we see that the KPIs all drop again to the more average levels. And if we select lower social media times, so less than an hour per day and 1 to 2 hours, we see that all of our KPI scores dropped and are in around 50%, with all of them indicated as green except for sleep issues frequency, which is just above green. So what the data is showing here clearly is that as social media time decreases, so do the mental health scores. So we have less mental health issues. But as the social media levels increase, so do the mental health issues and percentages. And so if we go back to my opening question, why is this relevant for businesses? Here's some return on investments and their comparison. So for case one, We assume that an 8% reduction in distractibility leads to a 4% increase in productivity. And so we'll say, based on the industry average, that's worth $45. So that equates to $14.4 per day. And if we stretch that out for a yearly basis, decreasing the distractibility by just 8% increases the amount of money the company can make by nearly $4,000, $3,600 per individual per year. We look at case 2, we can see that maintaining low risk status, as indicated by spending 1 to 2 hours or less on social media, prevents a 5% decline in productivity due to mental health issues. So if we reduce that productivity decline, we can save $20 per day, which we work that out on an annual basis, equals $5,000 saved per individual each year. And so obviously these two numbers are massive. So not only does your mental health, which is affected by your social media as indicated by the data, impact you on an individual level, but for business, it can literally be worth thousands of dollars on a yearly basis. And so that's the end of my presentation. Any questions?